Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. We are so near the end of the day, and we want to appreciate all of you. We really do appreciate all of you. Frank's going to be up here in a second. We've got some people walking into the room right now. In a minute, we're going to have a special award session. But I just wanted to open the floor. We've got some mics placed out here in the aisles. If there's any questions that any of you guys have for the foundation on maybe what we should be doing, what are we doing, now's your time to get up there and ask us a couple questions. Otherwise, we'll bring up some of the project leads for a special award. Any questions?
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Okay. Well, I think that being the case, if we could get the following project leads to come up on stage, there's a few different ways to get up on stage. If we could get Grant Richard, Matthew List, Matt Gambardella, Matt Cordry, Asgar, Pear, Dwayne Wennick, Najum, Pete Cray, and John Hoover. If we could get these guys up on stage. We just wanted to award you guys with some Open Compute jackets. Thank you guys very much. And then we're going to have each of the project leads, as you all know, we've moved to an elected model inside of the foundation. So the project leads are elected every year, or excuse me, every 6 months. So some of these project leads are your current project leads. Others have been founding project leads who have maintained their project lead status and are transitioning out, hopefully temporarily. So just wanted to let these guys talk a little bit about what they experienced on a completely different aspect of this 2-day extravaganza that we've been on. So maybe start with Grant.
Well, thanks for putting us on the spot. It's been really gratifying. We started 3 years ago, and today we just had a tremendous session. The first track, it was pretty much led by me, and sort of coaxing everything out of the people. And over the last 2 days, I got to sit in the back of the room and watch everything go by, and it was really gratifying. So it was tremendously validating and tremendously humbling, because there are just a tremendous amount of smart people around.
Yeah, I mean, from my end, C&I, we started that a year ago, and a year later, we have 2 labs doing certification. We have a whole program in place, a lot of people very passionate about it, and it's fantastic how this community has grown. And just to show itself, I mean, we started with, I don't know, when we were back in Palo Alto with your closest 100 friends or so, gotten a long, long way from there, so it's very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're seeing that trend across a lot of the tracks. So on the Open Rack track, we started with a sort of a weird thing from Facebook, this rack thing, and it's really evolved far beyond one contribution. We've got went through a lot of work to lock in a pretty robust standard on how the server fits into the rack, and that's provided a sort of a ecosystem into which chassis designers and rack designers and power shelf designers can actually build interoperable gear, which is kind of the holy grail for rack design. And so that's starting to pay dividends. Saw a fantastic new design from Fidelity and Electro Rack that was developed that's Open Rack compatible. We're seeing a lot more Open Rack compatible equipment, and one of the hallmarks I look for is that Open Rack compatible equipment emerges that we had nothing to do with, and we're starting to really see that happen, which is fantastic.
It's awesome to see. And Dwayne, talk a little bit about C&I. If you guys could just talk a little bit about what you guys experienced in the breakout rooms and the technical sessions. That's where the magic is happening, right? So
absolutely. So it was nice to see that we have the recurring calls on a regular basis, and a lot of work gets done there. But when you get to come together in person and you get to sit around and talk through the real issues, to me that's what's really important. And what was cool about it this time, much like Matthew, we had sort of cobbled this thing together with Eric's Wells' help in the past, and now we've got structure and we're passing the baton to YF, and it's just great to see that this thing is going to move on and continue accomplishing the things that we've committed to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Pete, anything on the breakout rooms in the engineering workshops from your perspective?
We had some great updates yesterday and today. So there's, per my 1 o'clock speech today, Broadcom's got an open switch spec. We saw demos on their x86-based switch. Mellanox has done the same. We not only have a highly revised spec document, but we now have a SDK document that we've got to look at. They did a video, remote video demo of a device, and the Intel crew was just going over a second review of their spec document in the event. So fingers crossed, we think it's going to be really, really cool.
Grant, Matthew, anything to add?
Yeah, I guess I'd just like to add is that we want more people participating. You know, the real work to the point of driving this forward happens between the consumers, the suppliers, you know, integrators and various people involved. And the more people in these rooms that are actively participating in dialogue, that are participating on the calls, that are coming to the engineering meetups, the better off we are. And so just please join in. You know, the community is only as good as everyone that gives in, and we need to see even more of you join forces here.
So one thing I wanted to emphasize is this is fun. Okay, it's fun to come here and talk about hardware and the things that you do, because most of the time people come to you and you start talking about hardware and how it fits together and tracings, and people's eyes glaze over and they begin to look at their watch and things like that. So it's very cool and very fun to come here for 2 days and to talk to people who are interested in the same thing, and it really, it's very gratifying. So, everybody says the seriousness of here, but this is the fun of being involved in something like this.
One extra remark, if I can please say, in an organization with efforts like Open Compute, we're all going to get out just about as much as we put in. So it shouldn't be like a read-only, consume-only kind of culture. I highly encourage everyone to give things a try, give us feedback, do prototypes. Don't be afraid to tinker and try to do something new, because that's what this is really all about. And so all of us, the Fidelity guys, the Goldman guys, the whole crew, we have others from other colleagues out east on the enterprise. They also want to be participants and beneficiaries. So please join in. This is a really big breakthrough.
Guys, thank you very much for coming. I think, it was Steve Jobs who sort of famously quoted, "We're standing on the shoulders of giants," and being here in Silicon Valley, working with Silicon, I don't know that you can find a more appropriate representation of what we're doing. I'm going to leave our closing remarks to our fearless leader, Frank. I want to thank all the sponsors and this entire community. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So the hackathon was really cool. I got to listen to the presentations from the hackers, all of whom worked very, very hard and kind of started from basically nothing, and in the last 24 to 36 hours came up with some really cool stuff. So cool, in fact, that it made it really difficult to choose one winner. So we decided to choose 3 winners and split the prize money 3 ways. And by the way, the prize money, yes. So one of our hackers is clapping. They were all really cool, and I'll say a little bit about each of them in a moment. But the hackathon was sponsored, by the way, by Fidelity, Riot Games, and the Open Incubate Fund. And so we thank all of you for your donations of the financial donations to cover the prize money for the hackathon. Really appreciate that. Let's give them a round of applause. So the first winner, and if you guys are here, I would love to have you come up and just be able to shake hands and congratulate you on your win. The first one is actually a pretty funny story. A couple of young men from Waterloo, if you guys would come on up, or if you're in the audience. They decided to, they didn't really have a preconceived notion about what they were going to do in the hackathon, and they kind of pitched what their skills were to the other hacker teams, and nobody picked them up. So they were like, well, we're just going to go ahead and compete. And they came up with a really cool way to do a debug for a battery backup unit that's part of OpenRack V2. And so wanted to congratulate you guys on the $5,000 prize money.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah.
Thanks, Frank.
All right. I know that's very meaningful going back to Waterloo, so don't spend it all on beer, please. Congratulations, guys. Our second winners came up with a really cool idea to help connect the unconnected. So it's kind of an internet.org inspired kind of a hack. and basically they came up with what they're calling, I believe you called it hippie mesh, because it was just kind of a cool way of providing very low power Wi-Fi connectivity, so low power that it could be powered off of solar panels. They made a few trips to Fry's to get some batteries and some other stuff, but basically envision a mesh network in a village that has previously been unconnected. Still got to kind of figure out the backhaul thing and all that, but very cool demonstration. We were able to find the SSIDs on our cell phones. I mean, they had this thing basically functional. So anybody that was part of the Hippie Mesh team, please come on up and let me shake your hand. Get a round of applause. Gee. All right. Awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Thanks. Oh, and more. Damien. And our last winner did a really cool storage hack. So if you guys would come on up. Basically, a really cool way to kind of enhance the throughput of storage directly to the drive. And so actually, because I didn't understand part of the hack, I want you guys to actually take a few minutes to describe what you did. I think from a production readiness perspective and a creativity perspective, and also some of them had not met before and actually brought some widgets together for the first time. They had, complete some CAD files and envisioned what this thing would look like inside of OpenVault and did a lot of work on it. So I want to let them talk a little bit about it.
Hello. So we actually gathered our team on demand yesterday. I haven't met ever in my life like these three guys here to the left of me. And I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity actually to bump into them and stumble. So we had something in mind around the problem that we were trying to solve in our current stealth mode startup. But so the problem domain is the following. We have found that there are a lot of bottlenecks in the current adopted storage architectures, and we have been thinking on how to actually create switch fabrics, which would allow us, for example, to put commodity SATA drives on the commodity Ethernet 1 gigabit switch fabric, and thus allow us to ultimately eliminate big failure domains, have very flexible high availability scenarios, aggregate natively bandwidth to these SATA drives like we integrate the bandwidth in the internet. But what we did not know is that actually Adaptiva has created this, would you explain like what it is actually?
Yeah, sure. So we came in, we have this little micro server board, 5 watts, very low power, put it anywhere basically, pretty good performance. And showed up, but it's always like, what's the application? What are we gonna do with this thing? And I think mating storage and low power computing opens up some pretty interesting capabilities. And it was really good to see it come together.
So yes, what finally we decided to implement within the short, apparently 24 hours that we have been given is implement the ATA over Ethernet stack on the micro server here and install Hadoop on it. So demonstrate that this is a very flexible architecture where you can scale compute or micro server compute connected to 1 gigabit Ethernet to get independently from the Hadoop actually storage devices. So we actually managed to do that and demonstrate it to the jury. So I'm very thankful to all the members in the team, which worked very hard and were able to demonstrate that we can actually save up to 90% on power, which is very important, I think, for the high scalable compute data centers that we have currently. And thank you very much for the opportunity to work together.
Congratulations, guys. So each of the hackathon teams is going to receive a $5,000 prize. And it really is awesome to see the hard work and the creativity that you guys put into it. And just seeing people that hadn't met before and even technologies that hadn't met before come together so quickly is really what the hackathons are all about. So, you know, as we continue on through this year, we're going to do more hackathons. Also, we're going to do, the next big summit is going to be sometime, you know, probably February, March of 2015. We're not sure if we're going to do it back here again. If anybody from the convention center is listening, it depends on how good of a deal we get. Or we may do it back at Santa Clara. We're not sure yet, but we'll probably stay in the Bay Area for the summit next year. We're just going to slide it out a little bit in time, since many of us who are involved in the planning of the event didn't really get much of a break over the holidays. So we'll probably do February, March next year. And then also we have a number of upcoming engineering workshops. And so as was mentioned earlier by Grant and team, where the real work happens is in these engineering workshops, either here at the summit or as we travel around for our meetups. So anybody that's interested in really deep diving into doing the real project work within Open Compute can meet up with us in Macau, or Dublin, or Dubai, or San Diego, or Oregon. So those are the ones that we have scheduled so far. We'll be posting all that up on opencompute.org, so you know kind of when they are. And you know, so yeah, we're going to get some air miles this year. And you know, as I mentioned earlier in the opening remarks, a lot of international expansion of Open Compute, a lot of self-organizing communities, a lot of great things are happening. So again, I think the people that are here now are clearly the hardcore supporters of Open Compute. You've been with us from the beginning. You've been here through the end of day 2, and we really appreciate everyone and all of your contributions. I'll say it again, you know, the work, it is clear absolutely that we have reached a tipping point in the industry. You know, I think for the first, you know, 18 months or so, people were kind of like, oh, what is this Open Compute thing? Seems like there's a lot of interest, but is it really making an impact? It is pretty clear to me that the industry is fundamentally changing in large part due to the work that this group is doing. It is clear that consumers are gaining more control over what gets built for them. And that is what's so fulfilling to me. And I know that that's why you have passion around this project as well. So I just want to close with another thank you, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.